All right, these are the hitter upgrade projections for the roster update coming out June 10th. Last week we got 6 out of 7 with Victor Martinez being the only holdover. And I still think he deserves an upgrade, so just apply last week's to him basically, and I still feel very comfortable with that. Today we are starting with Jung-ho Kang. And he's a monster, and I feel like most people know it. And I think it's a high time that he gets an upgrade, because he's sitting here at 81, and he really should be higher. Now, one good thing about him is that he always gets, not always, but regularly gets inside edge, which is great, but he really should still be higher. All right, so starting with his power versus righties, I got him up to a 70. And he's got a 347 ISO, which is second in baseball against righties. That's ridiculous. He has 5 homers against them already. Remember, he started his season late, so 5 homers might not sound like much compared to some of the other guys. That's why I didn't list his ranking with 5 homers. But 5 homers for the plate appearances that he has is pretty straight. 181 ISO last year, which is good, not great, and 12 homers in a full season, or full-ish season. Don't forget Chris Coughlin slid into him, ended his season a little bit prematurely. But either way, honestly, if you go back and you start looking like kind of the last calendar year, Kang didn't really get going until late May, early June. So his last calendar year, he's been elite. So even when you start going back a little bit to last year, he definitely deserves his upgrades. And frankly, I think both sides of power should be the same. 448 ISO against lefties. Are you kidding me? He already has 3 homers against them, and he had 3 homers all of last year. 143 ISO last year. So he's up 305 points of ISO. He's going to come down, I grant that. But they're just reacting to what's going on now in addition to the history, and that all says that he deserves it. So even if he comes back and has to come down a little bit, that's fine, but he deserves this upgrade right now. If you look at the last calendar year, all told, as I was mentioning, he has a 228 ISO. That's righties and lefties combined. I've told you guys before, anything over like 180 for a middle infielder is pretty good. 200 is great. He's at 228. That's second at shortstop, 8th at third base with a minimum of 300 plate appearances. Second at shortstop's obviously fantastic. Top 10 at third base is really good though too, because that's a power position. As I mentioned earlier, he has a consistent IE, which is inside edge rating, and he's just 550 stubs on the market. He's honestly a must buy. And for those that don't know, ISO, isolated average, isolated slugging, if you will, is just the slugging percentage minus batting average. It basically takes out singles and kind of gives you a power metric. Again, 180 across the league that's pretty good. That's some good power. 200 is some real good punch, and then of course anything over 200, you start getting into the elite areas. It's just an idea. It just gives you an idea of their power. So that's what we got for him right now. None of the contact needs to be upgraded right now. Those are really solid where they're at, and so it's just the power that gets the upgrade. But I think it's still going to bump him up. Boom, right up to gold, 85. So we got Jung-ho Kang going 81 to 85. Next up, we go out west to Mr. Charlie Blackmon. Blackmon doesn't need any upgrade in this contact versus righties. 83 solid. He's basically doing the same as last year, so there's no real need to try to force an upgrade there. I just don't see that he would necessarily deserve one. Could see a little bit of an upgrade here from 54 to 60 in his power versus right. He's got a 191 ISO so far this year, 160 career. Now, the reason I didn't upgrade it more, even though it's a 31-point improvement, is because we are still just dealing with like 2 months, because he also missed some time. So I don't think that they need to overreact to it. A 191 is good, but it's not over the top. But he needs an upgrade here. His power versus lefties also needs an upgrade to about 55. He's got a 190 ISO, almost the same as his stuff versus righties, but he's got a 133 career. So the history is going to hurt him a little bit more. That's why I didn't quite get him up to where he is against righties. Plus, he only has 50 plate appearances against righties this year. That's a pretty dang small sample. He had 2 homers against them already. He had 3 all of last year, and he's only ever had 4 as a career high homers against lefties. So the fact that he's already at 2 shows a little bit of improved power. We'll see if it holds. Small sample, could just be the best streak of his season against lefties. I think his vision needs to go up to 80. He's got a 13% strikeout rate. That's fantastic. He's got a 16% last year and 15% the last calendar year, which is 20th in the majors. His discipline needs to go up to 50, I think. I think that would be, it's not an overwhelming upgrade, but it's deserved. He's got a career high 9%. League average is about 8%, and he's been improving yearly. So we're seeing enough improvements out of Charlie Blackmon. I think it's time for him to get a plate discipline upgrade. So those are his upgrades. Let's see where that takes him. Shit, I forgot to write. Oh, he's an 82. 82 to 84. So not quite to gold, but on his way up. And still hitting very well, so I wouldn't be surprised. All right, we are staying out west, and we are going to the man of the hour lately, Corey Seager. It's time, folks. It's time. All right, so his contact versus righties is going to go up right away. Just a little bit, 86. This is only going to go up a little bit, 78. He's hitting 280 or better versus both sides this year. Almost 300 for his career, so he's actually down a little bit from last year. But he has a good strikeout percentage. He just makes really good contact. I don't see an overwhelming upgrade here, but I definitely see an upgrade. I got his plate vision going up to 65, 17% career rate. It's been both the same year. It's been the same both years that he's been in the league. He doesn't have an overwhelming sample no matter what, even if you smash together what he did last year with this year. So they can make some more aggressive moves because it's only MLB work, so they can kind of justify it that way. His power versus righties and lefties both needs to go up. Again, not severe, 74 here, but a big jump here, 75. So this year, he's got a 228 ISO versus righties, 288 versus lefties. That's huge. That's left-on-left matchup. Career, he's at 236 and 242. Now, stating his career numbers versus this year, again, is not that crazy, right? Because he only played, I think, 113 plate appearances last year, plus what he's done this year. It's not a huge sample. That said, it can still move the needle for what he's been doing. He's one of only 5 guys with 4+ homers against lefties this year as a lefty. I want to say Cano has the most with 5, and then 4 guys are tied with 4. His 288 ISO versus lefties is second best among lefties this year. Lefty-lefty is the toughest matchup in the league. So when you start to see some standout performance, it's tough to necessarily know if it's going to be real. But again, because of Seager's career and the fact that he hasn't really been around that much, I think they can react to it a little bit more strongly. So that's what we got for him. He goes from 84 to 86 up over gold. And a lot of times, that's not a huge move. That's 2 points. And, that I don't even know that necessarily completely includes what he's been doing the last, since the weekend, since they're a few weeks behind. I think he could be one of those guys who kind of gets 2 upgrades, or they could do it all together. And I think we've seen that at times, so I don't know that they're always behind on guys. That's what makes it a little bit tough, though, because things aren't always, uniform, right? Sometimes they're behind. Sometimes they're doing kind of their 2 weeks behind thing, but then that guy's been raking in the other interim 2 weeks, and so they just give him that big upgrade all at once. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it with Corey Seager, but I definitely think he deserves an upgrade this week, and we get him to gold. Sometimes that gold threshold can just mean so much for their price, even though it's only a 2-point upgrade. Actually got the next one is his brother, not Justin. His actual brother, well, not his actual brother, his brother in the majors. All right, and he starts off as an 82. And let's see what we got going for him. We go ahead and post the link again for you guys to vote on who will be the the extra upgrade that we'll do after we got this guy, one more, and then we'll do the extra guy that you guys vote on. I did the research for all three of those, so we'll just pick one of them. All right, so Kyle Seager, also deserving of an upgrade. Dude's been out of his mind. Got off to a bad start in April, has been raking ever since. That's why you don't make too many decisions based on April when you're playing your season-long fantasy league, or just when you're just making your opinions about guys. Oh, he's sucking this year. If they got a track record, especially someone like Kyle Seager, I keep mixing up the names, who's been like so rock solid. There was nothing to me that made me say that I should be worried about what he was doing. He just didn't get off to a good start. Nothing in his game said, oh, he's in trouble. And this last 2 months have proven that. Or last month plus, excuse me. All right, his contact versus righties needs to go up to 75. He never Ks against righties. 13% this year, it's really good. 15% career, he's got a 346 average. He's 21st in K percentage as left versus righty since 2014 with a 14% mark. So I know that's a lot of numbers, percent this, percent that. By and large, he doesn't strike out and he hits for good average. He doesn't always hit for a good average. I think last year he was at 275, but that's not bad. And I think there was a little bit of BABIP, bad luck. For those of you who don't know what BABIP is, that's your batting average on balls in play. I can't give a whole synopsis of that. It just means, first off, it means what it says. It means how your batting average on anything that you put in play, but it also excludes home runs. It's not a perfect stat. It needs to be used in concert with other things. But if you're regularly stinging the ball, making a lot of contact, and you have a low BABIP, chances are you're being unlucky. And I think last year there was a case that there was a little bit of bad luck in Seager's favor in the form of maybe line drives at guys, well-struck fly balls that were made by the outfielders, defensive plays, etc., etc. This year, he's not getting those plays. They're going in his favor. He's getting the base hits. He's getting the line drives that are not being picked by infielders or anything like that. Next up is his power versus righties, which I got going all the way up to 84. That's a massive jump. I think that might have been a typo. Actually, no, it wasn't. But he's not going to get a 20-point upgrade. It wasn't a typo, but it's too high. Now that I see it, he was at 64. That's too high. I don't think that they're going to go 20. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do 12. I don't know. I'm looking at my own numbers here. I'm like, those are great numbers, but 20 points. I guess I thought it was higher to start. So I'm going to go with 76 instead of 84. I just don't think they're going to get a 20-point upgrade. But he is absolutely decimating righties right now. 610 slugging percentage, 264 ISO. He's at 460 and 185 for his career. He's 16th in ISO versus righties as a lefty. So that's just all lefties versus righties. He's 16th with a 204 mark. So maybe that's why I was so aggressive on him. But again, I just don't know that they're going to get him 20 points in 1 week. So we'll be aggressive here and say 12 points. That's still a pretty aggressive bump. Contact versus lefties has to go down a little bit. He has a 190 average, 18% K rate. That's fine. League average is 22% for lefty versus lefty. Might be a little bit of bad luck. That's why I didn't want to tank it and say, 52 or something like that. I just went down with a 60. I think that over the coming weeks, because they play him all the time, he does not get platooned. He always plays against lefties, and he usually acquits himself nicely. I could see him jumping it back up, but it needs to go down right now. Power versus lefties, that's a firm hold. I kept it even. He has 4 homers, and he's one of the best power lefty versus lefty power guys, but that's about where it needs to be. Even with that, he hasn't done anything that should bump it up based on what he's done this year. He has a couple more homers, but a few less doubles, so it all kind of evens out. So I actually left it even for him. Plate vision needs to go up a couple ticks. Nothing crazy there, but he's got a 15% K rate, 17% for his career, and I kind of looked over the last 2-3 years of guys that were around him, and they were all in that 73 to 76 range. Some guys were in the 80s. I don't think he's quite in the 80s, like a Nori Aoki guy, or I think Alcides Escobar. 74 works here for sure. All right, so that gets him to 85. 82 to 85. I got both Seager brothers going gold, and I firmly believe that that will happen, and definitely should happen. A lot of West guys this week. Our last guy's also out West, back in the NL. It's on the Padres. You guys can try to guess who that's going to be. So I'm going to post the link for the vote one more time here. This is for you to vote on the last guy that we'll do. All right. Nobody guessed. You guys are jerks. No, I'm just kidding. Who even knows half the players on this team? But it's Yangervis Solarte. Very deserving of an upgrade. Now he was upgraded, but it was just a position move. It was a 2-point move because of position. All right, contact versus righties, small tick, small upgrade, 300 average, but a 21% but a 21% strikeout rate. He's got a career 266, but an 11% strikeout rate. So basically, average is up, so is the K rate. History says K rate should probably come down, but the average might as well. So just a small upgrade. Just a small upgrade to kind of acknowledge what he's been doing. Power versus righties, got that up 60. He's got a 200 ISO, 139 career, but he's been improving yearly. So I think that they could even do a little bit more, but I'll start small right now from my boy Solarte. Contact versus lefties, up 73. He's got 1K, one strikeout in 24 plate appearances, 400 average. He hit 291 in 2014. Then last year, this is a good example of being BABIP'd. If you go look at what Solarte did against lefties, all of his metrics in terms of like how well he hit the ball, the kind of strikeout rate that he had, the line drives versus fly balls versus ground balls, all that sort of stuff said that he was who he was in 2014. But I think he hit like 230 against them because his batting average on balls in play was super low. I should have written it down, but I didn't. I just put he was BABIP'd last year. So that was a bummer. Hurt his numbers. I think he deserves an upgrade here. And I also think that his power versus lefties deserves an upgrade. He's got 2 homers and a 17% extra base hit rate. It's only 24 plate appearances, though. That's tiny. He was hurt as well. So we're dealing with 3 different guys who have been hurt already this year. He hit 3 homers and had an 8% extra base hit in 130 plate appearances against them last year. So, again, small sample, but he is doing a lot. Magnitude of a sample can outweigh the fact that it's small. And so far this year, he's raked against lefties. I actually jumped him up a couple ticks in plate vision. He's already got a 90, so if he doesn't get it, he doesn't get it. But again, 1K in 24 plate appearances against lefties. That should negate any hit they would want to give him for what he's done against righties. So in the end, I think it's still worth a little bit of an upgrade. Oh, I forgot to write down what he was. So I'm just going to back out and have to redo the numbers. He was an 81. Probably could have asked the chat, but I'm a noob. I'm a GD noob. 68, 60, 73, 57, 92. All right, let's see what that does for Solarte. That moves him up to an 83. So just a couple points. Still not quite that gold status, but this is still a guy I'm buying because look at where he can play. First, second, third, short, both corner outfield positions. He's not a great defender, but you're not going to take a huge hit on those secondary positions now, and they listed all of them, so you can still use them all around the diamond. That plate vision really helps kind of boost up those numbers a little bit. He'll come through for you in the clutch there with a 73. That durability can help you if you're playing a franchise as well. Obviously, at that point, you could just draft him. You don't need to buy him in the market or whatever, but either way, I like Yangervis Solarte. All right, let's see who you voted for. Let's see who our last one is going to be. It is, drumroll. That's the worst drumroll ever. I'll vote for somebody, and yeah, I knew that was going to happen. So for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, the 3 guys who were up to be the extra person were Mark Trumbo, Logan Morrison, Jurickson Profar, and it wasn't even close. Mark Trumbo ran away with it. He had another home run tonight. I know you guys are interested in seeing what's what, and so I kind of figured. And honestly, since I kind of knew y'all were going to do that, I did my research on Morrison and Profar. I still did it, but I did not like go that second and third level because I knew y'all were going to vote for Trumbo. So I kind of predicted it. All right, let's go ahead and check out Trumbo then. He's an 80 right now. Dude's been out of his mind, and I've been skeptical because he's done this before where he gets off to this great start and totally, falls in the tank over the summer and just ends up having a solid but unspectacular year. We'll see if this year's different now. He's going on a third month of absolutely raking, but I dug into the numbers, and I don't know that y'all are going to see this as I don't think there's going to be as big of an upgrade as maybe y'all are seeing just kind of looking at the numbers in the box score and seeing, okay, homers. There just might not be enough room to upgrade. Power versus righties, up to an 84. So that's a big upgrade, or 85, excuse me. That's the big part that can be upgraded. He's got 13 homers against them, including tonight's. Top 10 ISO versus righty as a righty. So I just looked at all right-handers, right versus right. He had a 285 ISO. That's top 10 in the league this year. He got upgraded from 64 to 74 on May 20th. He has 8 homers since then against righties. So I think another 11 points is merited. Contact versus lefties actually has to go down. And I got it down to 65. Now, he's also being BABIP'd because he's absolutely smashing the ball, but he has a 103 batting average on balls in play, a.k.a. BABIP, and that's just painfully low. He's got a 196 average. He's got a 28% strikeout rate. So he's a strikeout guy, right? And so that's just going to be part of it. But even when he is making contact, he's getting pretty unlucky. Now, one thing that doesn't count in BABIP, though, is home runs. So it's a little bit misleading. But even at 103, even if you put the home runs in there and use that as like a makeshift BABIP, it still wouldn't be where it quote-unquote should be based on everything else that he's doing. So I didn't crush him. 65 is still useful, but we had to downgrade him there. However, I think he could still get a small upgrade in power versus lefties. He's got 7 homers against them. He's tied for first in the league. He has a 431 ISO. Y'all, I tell you that 200 ISO is good. Is like really, really solid. And 250 is like great. He has a 431. 431. That's the highest with a minimum of 50 plate appearances this year. He's been out of his mind against lefties. So that's huge. It was upgraded from 89 to 93 on that May 20th update. So again, another small update here I think it is useful. So that takes Trumbo from an 80 to only to an 81. Wow. And I imagine that's because the left takes such a hit. Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna revamp a little bit. Because maybe they don't want to just do a 1-point upgrade and they just want to focus more on giving him a little bit more credit for what he's done. Even if they think, you know what, we might end up having to downgrade him later. But we'll give them a little bit more credit. Maybe they only do a little bit of a downgrade there. They do like a 5-point downgrade. Let's see what that does. That adds 1 more point. That gets him to 82. So, again, I just don't think, and this is what I meant when I started this. I don't know that the upgrade is there that everyone thinks that there is, specifically to try to get him to gold, which I think is what everyone's hoping can happen. Because I don't know where else he could get a major upgrade. He's still striking out a ton. He doesn't take a ton of walks. Maybe the clutch, is that going to really do anything? What if we just got crazy with that? Because he does hit some like late game homers. Nope, that didn't do booty. So that's what it is, y'all. I mean, I'm going to put 81/82 since we did kind of a revamped one. I just don't think that there's a huge upgrade for him there. But to review, we went Jung-ho Kang from an 81 to an 85 up to gold. Charlie Blackmon from an 82 to 84, knocking on the door of gold, and if he keeps ranking, he'll get there. Corey Seager, 84 to 86, gets in the gold. Brother Kyle, 82 to 85, gold as well. Yangervis Solarte, 81 to 83, not quite gold, but such good position flexibility that any upgrade is really going to help him. And then Mark Trumbo, as you just saw, 80 to 81 or 82, depending on what they do with the lefties. Let's just say maybe they don't touch it. Maybe they're like, you know what, 103 BABIP, we're not even going to fuck with it. What would that do? Another point? Yeah, I figured another point. So those are the hitting upgrades for the roster update coming out June 10th. Coming to my stream tomorrow, Wednesday, June 8th. And check out the pitcher upgrades if you want to see. Otherwise, they'll be here on YouTube. Thanks. All right, guys. Sorry I didn't get to read chat. Sounds like it got pretty lit. Let's get this music back on. What'd y'all think? Yo, Brizzo, I'm so excited that he better be in it. He better fucking be in it. Yo, Wager, thank you so much for the raid, by the way. I saw it in the middle, but I was doing the YouTube, so I couldn't say it. Hey, J-Dog, how's it going? Yeah, Royals, I still watched Hot Stove, but he's not my fave. Have an epic sleep. Oh, damn it. Royals already said it. When was Trumbo in 91? No, I don't remember that. That's insane. Yeah, I'll take a look, UCLA. You found him? Yeah, he's probably way low. Thanks, New Era. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. As I mentioned earlier, for those of you that are here, I know that I just did hitters, but for pitchers tomorrow, if you've been around, you see that I would normally like upgrade the pitches based on how they've been performing this year, but I'm not going to do that anymore because I talked to a couple of the developers on Twitter and they let me know that they don't focus on that, so that's not going to be a point of upgrade for them. So it would artificially, it'd be useless basically to do it. So we're not going to be doing that anymore. We're going to focus on those per nines and kind of work from there. That will allow me to be a little bit more aggressive in my per nines though, because maybe they feel like, okay, this guy should probably be, gold and we got to get him there. And so maybe they'll be a little bit more liberal